Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today I will be welcoming back my good friend Deborah Voorhees. She's coming on today to talk about her new movie 13 Fanboy, which I'm excited about. I saw the trailer, it looks really good. And we're going to talk about that, maybe talk a little bit about Halloween and stuff like that. I can't wait. Deborah and I have a pretty similar sense of humor, which is perverted, and she's an absolute sweetheart of an angel, and I'm glad to have her back on today. It's been a while coming. Last time she was on, it was 420. Now it's 2 days before Halloween, and I'm pretty excited. It's going to be pretty cool, I think. It's going to be pretty awesome. So, here is my new interview with Deborah Voorhees. Deborah.
Hey, Tommy. So sorry, I was trying to get my phone set up. I plugged it in last night to charge, but apparently it wasn't plugged in 100%. And so I barely had a charge, so I had to get it set up where I could sit and visit and have it charging so it didn't give out on us.
Oh, good. That's all right. So how the fuck are you?
I'm doing terrific. How are you?
I'm great. Doing what I do every October. I've been watching your death scene to infinity.
Real cool.
Can't help it. I'm a heterosexual.
There you go. That's what happens, huh? Right?
Yeah.
I know a lot of gay guys that really like it too for different reasons. But hey, I'm glad either way. I'm just glad they like it.
Yeah, it's called envy.
Oh man.
So tell me about 13 Fanboy. I mean, how did this come to you?
This is I am so super psyched about this project. It is incredibly intense, very hardcore thriller with fantastic horror kills in it. Mm-hmm. I've got some horror kills planned that I think that are definitely cringeworthy, and some I've never seen anything like it. So it came about because I have a new co-producer. Mm-hmm. His name is Joel Paul Rysick. And he and we have a few projects in the making. And when we were just sitting down chatting and visiting, and he was, asking me some questions about the conventions and the horror conventions and this sort of thing. And I was like, it just how much I love the fans and how terrific they are, and that, I've just felt like I've been welcomed open arms by them, and they've just been so kind to me. And I said, at some point, I really want to make a movie that's for them, as my thank you for their kindness over the years. Mm-hmm. And so, we were talking some more, and he goes, I was wondering if, I'd ever have any, kind of crazy ones that kind of scare me a bit. And I was like, well, I said, I don't know if you're their fans per se, but yeah, there's sometimes that this part has invited, some people who will comment in a way that is a little unsettling. And I said, in fact, a few of the Friday the 13th women have been stalked. I said, I have been online, but some have been stalked, physically too. Mm-hmm. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I said, I've been sitting there. I said, one time I'm sitting there in my office trying to get work done. It's late at night, and I receive a text on my phone, and it says, he said, he's watching you. And I'm like, okay, that's not cool. That's not funny. You know, and then I received a couple more texts, but the idea is that, you know, this person was claiming I was being stalked by this particular one said Jason, even though it was Roy that actually killed me. Mm-hmm. And then I had another incident where, well, I had a few of different ones like this, you know. Wouldn't it be cool if you died in the way you died in Friday the 13th? And I'm just like, well, actually, no. It wouldn't be cool at all. It was really cool and fun in make-believe world, but in reality, I don't think so. And he goes, well, wait a minute. He goes, you know, there's a movie here. And I was like, I mean, immediately knew he was right, but my stomach did several flip-flops because, you know, there's that little part in the back of my mind, you know, I never spoke about it. It wasn't like it was making me really, you know, fearful to go out in the world, but every once in a while I'd have this little gnawing thing at the back of my head. What if there was a little crazy person out there, you know, who was doing something like that, going after the women from the horror movies and killing them. Mm-hmm. And I thought, you know, I just never said anything until that moment. I was like, well, that was the first time I ever voiced it. And sure enough, I talked to some other women, and they're just like me. They were like, oh yeah, I totally get that. You know, it's, you know, wasn't something that kept them up at night, but it was definitely just that little thing in the back of their mind. And then it was a little more real for those who had actually been stalked, and by fans. And, you know, granted, I mean, this is, you know, this is an anomaly because I don't think that you get a nicer group of people than horror fans. Mm-hmm. You know, you couldn't be in better hands at conventions or anything like that. But that doesn't change the fact that this is a really good movie idea. And after several sleepless nights, you know, wondering, you know, do I want to open up this bag of worms? I was like, you know, the fans have been asking for a long time for a film like this. And, you know, very similar concepts. They've been saying, you know, why can't, you know, please make something, bring some of our favorites back, you know, introduce us to some new people and make this horror movie. And I was like, you know what? It needs to be done. If it scares me, I'm going to be able to scare other people with it. And the thing about this is it does have an element of realism to it because it can happen. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't. We all enjoy the horror films because, you know, after the movie's over and the credits roll, we walk out of the theater and all's good. But this is something that is different. It has, but we're still going to have the really great horror kills and really intense thriller style. You know, like think of like the fairly recent film Hush and Cape Fear.
Yeah,
those are two of my favorite thrillers. I mean, because you know,
I love it.
Gripping the edge of your seat while these people are being stalked, hunted down, and killed, or attempted to kill them. And you know, and you really care about the characters. You want them to be okay. Mm-hmm. You know, and so that's what we're doing. In this particular case, I'm introducing a young woman by the name of Haley Greenbauer. Well, she's been acting since she was a little girl. She's still fairly unknown, and she's an absolute beauty and badass. She's going to play the role of Kelsey, who is traumatized as a child after witnessing her grandmother be murdered. And the killer is never found. And 10 years later, when she's a young woman and she's now does mixed martial arts and teaches self-defense for women. And she's also an actress in Los Angeles, where she's doing horror films like her grandmother, and she grew up around it. So she was very familiar with the horror scene and had longtime friends. And she finds herself trying to save the life of her grandmother's best friend, and then finding herself a target of the killer as well. And the killer is targeting several women from Friday the 13th, and I think we have on board for Friday the 13th, and we will get more. We have C.J. Graham, we have Ron Sloan, we have Tom Matthews, we have Tracy Savage, and we have Judy Aronson and myself. And then from Never Hike Alone, we have Vincent DeSante and Andrew Laity.
Yeah, Tom told me about Never Hike Alone the other day, and I saw a part of it. I didn't get to watch the whole thing, though. Yeah.
I definitely watch it. It's an extremely well-done film. Vincent plays the Jason character in it, and he's quite a formidable killer. He does an amazing performance on that, and he also directed, and he did a terrific job on it. I just had the privilege of working with Andrew and Vincent out here in New Mexico. We did a little mini Indiegogo campaign video. It doesn't have film footage, or we didn't shoot anything that was going to actually be in the film. What I wanted to do, instead of just sitting down and saying that, two people sitting in front of the camera and asking people to support this project, instead I put our information about our Indiegogo project in a mini horror movie. And it's just meant for fun and a nod to everybody to just say, we love you, horror fans. Thank you. And here's a little something for you. And, now we want to make the big movie.
Yeah, I'd say I've never been stalked per se, but I was kind of a local celebrity up in the Bay Area as a stand-up comedian. I just had a lot of weird guys coming up to me wanting to be funny and saying, hey, I want to be your comedy writer. I got jokes for you. And I'm like, oh, no, thanks. I'm cool. And they're just so insane and weird, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I know. I think you may know, I used to be a Playboy bunny at the nightclub in Dallas.
Yep.
And when I was working there, it was a regular occurrence. The customers at the club, I know that there was at least a dozen occasions where I was followed home. I learned to figure out when somebody was following me. I got so good at it, then I, would basically try and outrun them and drive them to get away from them. And, I would have people, calling the house. And in that time period, I was definitely being stalked. That was a really scary period. So while it wasn't Friday the 13th related, I know what it feels like to be getting threatening letters in your mailbox and getting, being followed home. And at one point, the scariest moment I had was I got out of my car. It's, of course, because I worked at a nightclub, it was very late. And I saw somebody that I knew, and I said, oh, hey, how are you? I said, I didn't realize that you lived around here. And, well, he didn't live around there.
Oh.
And, yeah, it was very scary. I just acted like it was no big deal. Nice to see you. Take care. And got inside and shook in my boots.
Wow.
But, yeah, it was, I definitely know what it feels like to be target. Now, while I was in Los Angeles, this was also before I did the film, I had a guy targeting me at my apartment. And, once again, yeah, so it's a very scary and very real thing that can happen. And this, we're just taking it and putting it into a film. And, our goal is to make this a series. We've got it ended with the opening for the next film. So I'm really excited about it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's just so shocking to find out that you were stalked, because you're like one of 3 of the most accessible celebrities I've met.
Yeah. I guess, with age, you stop worrying as much about that sort of thing. But I completely understand why some women opt against it. We tend to be more guarded and more careful and stuff than men are, and for good reason. For me, it's just something that I decided to do. I stepped out. It was several years ago that I just started to meet the fans. It was when I released my first feature film. It was called Billy Shakespeare. And I was opening it in London, and I had a fan contact me out there and asked if I would do an autograph signing event. And I said I would. I was so nervous because I really had never met my fans before. And, but I was just, I didn't know what to expect. I was nervous because I was, quite a bit older. I thought, they want to meet Tina. They don't want to meet me. And, that's a totally different, thing. And then, since I had really never met anybody, I was really nervous. But it turned out terrific. Everybody was, we did a showing of part 5 there, and the place was packed, and everybody was super nice, and they stayed afterwards, and I signed autographs for them, and they were really kind and stuff, and that really encouraged me. I thought, well, maybe I should get out and meet them some. And my convention agent, Sean Clark, had been after me to do some shows, and at that time I had left journalism, and because I used to be a journalist with the Dallas Morning News and Friday or the Fort Worth Star Telegram, and I also worked for the Shakespeare Standard, which is an online publication. It's the largest Shakespeare publication in the world. And, I worked for a couple of magazines, Front Desk Magazine and Modern Luxury Magazine. And I thought, I started teaching, after I left that, I started teaching school. And I was teaching, my specialty was British literature and journalism, of course. And, but my principal at the time told me basically if I left to do that I'd be fired. And it really ticked me off because later, I turned it down when I would have really liked to have gone. And then they ended up firing me at the end of the year because of Friday the 13th anyway. And it was like, well, look, you guys knew you were going to do that. Why not just let me go and make a little extra money? Because you were about to cut me loose. And so I thought that was pretty mean-spirited of them. But anyway, so it was after that I got my first introduction to meeting the fans. And so then I ended up getting a call from the guy at Texas Frightmare, and he asked if I would come. He said he had talked to Sean Clark, and he wanted to know if I would be interested, and I said I would, and I went and had a terrific time. And so Sean booked me for that show, and then he booked me at Horror Hound in Columbus, Ohio, and once again had a terrific time. And so, yeah, I just decided, it was time to open up that door. I was being reached out to via social media, every day by fans. Mm-hmm. And so I decided to make a horror group, and it's called Deborah Voorhees Share Horror Group. And it's, we share horror about everything.
Yeah.
If we did nothing but talk about me, I'd be bored to tears, and so would they. So we talk about everything, and I also encourage new filmmakers and horror artists, whether it's, people who make masks, who make costuming, who do special effects makeup, who make films. I encourage them all to come on there and share their projects. And that, help keep it feel immediate and, talking about what's going on now. And then, of course, we also talk about the old ones, and we do a lot of watch parties and group viewings and contests and all kinds of stuff. And, that experience has been really terrific.
I love it. It's one of my favorite groups on Facebook, I have to say.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yep. How long did it take to film the new movie?
Are you talking about the Indiegogo campaign short?
The 13 Fanboy.
Oh, we haven't started yet. We've got our Indiegogo campaign up, and that's the we made the short for that. And,
oh, okay.
I would like to get this out next year. So we're going to do the Indiegogo campaign and see where we are at that point. And we're talking with investors and stuff on putting some money into it, and we've got a lot of people excited about it.
Yeah, that's.
So I'm hoping in the next few months we can start filming.
Yeah, that short was perfect. Deborah Voorhees had awesome tits.
I didn't write that. That was my co-producer.
I thought it was perfect. Is the movie though going to have tits and ass in it?
Yes, we will have TNA in there for you.
Awesome.
Great kills in TNA. It's R-rated.
Awesome.
Some good lovemaking.
Awesome. Whose dick do I have to suck to be in the movie?
You're funny.
Oh, thank you so much. Did you have fun on Saturday, the Halloween party?
Oh, I sure did. Yeah, we had a really nice time. It was fun. It's always fun to get dressed up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't dressed up in 3 years because of financial reasons, but I posted a picture the other day on Facebook of me as Pee Wee Herman. That was my first costume when I was 4 years old. I was so adorable. I was so cute. I was a pedophile's dream.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God. But eventually I'll start dressing up again, but just right now is not a good time and stuff. I don't even know what I'm going to be next time, I have a friend, her last name is Morton, and this weekend she was the Morton Salt Girl.
Oh, really? Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, she was adorable. Yeah, I thought it was pretty original.
I love to see the kids dressed up for Halloween. It is so neat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can remember every Halloween costume I ever wore, too. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I have a joke you'll love.
What's up?
Cinderella is about to go to the ball, and she's on her period. And the fairy godmother gives her magic tampons and says, "You have to be home by midnight or they'll turn into a pumpkin." And Cinderella, Cinderella says, "Okay, fairy godmother, I will." So 12:30 rolls around, and fairy godmother is pacing around the house because Cinderella hasn't shown up. Then Cinderella does show up, and she's drunk and she's stumbling. And the fairy godmother says, "Where have you been? You were supposed to be home by midnight." And Cinderella says, "I'm sorry, fairy godmother. I met this great guy. We danced all night. He had 2 first names and 2 last names. I can't remember what the last 2 were, but the first 2 were Peter Peter."
Oh, no. Oh, no. That's cute.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite jokes. Yeah, Deborah, I mean this sincerely. You're one of my favorite people to interview because you allow me to be myself, and I'm the luckiest fanboy in the whole wide world.
Nice. That's cool. Thank you.
Absolutely. And stuff. So, okay, so this movie has not been made yet, but you're doing the crowdfunding for it.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Do you have anything else coming out?
This is what I'm focused on right now, but I do have several things in development. One is a horror comedy called The List,
Mm-hmm.
and it is about a socialite who is obsessed with murder.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
I actually did that jumping off of another film called Catching Up. And Catching Up is, it was really I did it as an art film. It's black and white. It's from a New York playwright. Actually was a play, and I let it be a play. I let it, you know how a theater piece has a completely different feel from a film piece. It has different pacing and everything, and it's also, of course, very wordy and things. And this is all of the, it's a play. I let it be a play, but we filmed it, in a on location and stuff, not on a film set or on a stage or anything. But I really didn't think that horror fans would respond to it. But when I went to Texas Frightmare, they invited me to bring it with me, which I was very grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And I was super nervous because I thought, I was worried maybe they would throw tomatoes or something at me, and it's like, there's not enough blood. What's going on here? And in fact, it was quite opposite. I had a full room, and then we had a Q&A afterward, and I expected people to be asking me about Friday the 13th, but they didn't. They asked me just about the film, and they stayed and had all kinds of questions. They were really interested, and you could tell, people weren't like restless in their seat or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow. And then I had so many people stopping by afterward to tell me how much they loved it. And I thought, wow, this is not what I expected. But they absolutely loved my leading lady, which is the socialite obsessed with murder. And that's when I was like, I needed to make her a full-blown serial killer.
Mm-hmm.
And, so that's what I was working on when Joel and I, in fact, it was one of the projects we were talking about getting off the ground when Joel and I came up with the idea for 13 Fanboy. And I just felt like 13 Fanboy, that it's time for this film. One, people have been waiting for a Friday the 13th movie for quite a long time, and this, is spinning off of that, and I just felt like it was time and it needed to be done, so it took the forefront, and we began working immediately on an outline, and he and I hammered out a very, very detailed 30-page outline where that accounted for every scene in the film, and then I took it from there and finished it.
Nice. Do you have any festival or convention appearances coming up?
Right now, I don't have anything scheduled, but hopefully I will. I'd like to get to a few of the festivals and or the conventions. If not this year, I'm going to be working pretty hard on getting this film out. Certainly the year I get it out, I would like to get it out. We've had a couple of festivals ask us about showing it at their conventions and the horror conventions, and we're certainly interested in that. And we actually, just so you know, this is going to have a theatrical release. We already have a
nice
intent from a distribution company for a theatrical release, and it'll be released in DVD and such in the major outlets like Walmart, Target, and that sort of thing.
Oh, that's going to be pretty sweet. Wow.
Yes, we're super excited about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, well, I hope they book you in California next year so I can come meet you. That'd be awesome.
Oh, that would be terrific. I would love that.
Yes. And don't worry, I'll be a total gentleman. I'll take you by the hand and kiss it.
Nice. I always enjoy that.
I know, people don't expect that from me. They think because I like to tell dirty jokes and be crude on the air, they think I'm going to like offer them a morning after pill or something,
Oh, funny.
Yeah, I don't know what it is,
I usually, for a while there, for some reason, people will shake your hand too hard. Mm-hmm. And so, because I don't want my hand hurt when I shake someone's hand, I don't usually reach out with a regular handshake. I put my hand out as the ladies of the 1800s to be lightly, because it's my signal, gentle.
Yeah.
I try to avoid shaking hands, but if I'm going to, I prefer to do it that way because I don't know what it is, but some people think that they need to show off their physical strength. And having a firm handshake does not mean you hurt somebody. That just means you're not a wet noodle.
Well, it's funny. It's funny, right? I always shake hands very softly and gently, right? But ironically, it's always a woman I meet who's an absolute tomboy. She's always like, "Come on, you can do better than that," Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want to break your hand. You're so beautiful and so delicate. I don't want to break your hand.
Right. Yeah, no, you want to be gentle, and I like the. I just hold my hand out. I've had more than one person. Shall I kiss it? I'm like, sure.
Awesome. Well, Deborah, I hope this movie comes into fruition for you, and the rest of the year for you will be pretty exciting, and you have happy holidays.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking time and doing this for me. I really appreciate you helping me get the word out about 13 Fanboy, and just want to encourage everybody to please support this, and let's make a movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes, let's make a movie. I just adore you, and I give credit where credit's due.
Yeah, well, thank you. Oh, and we have some really fantastic. Believe it or not, our top perk for everybody, and I didn't expect this, has been we have a $250 level, and you get a credit for an associate producer spot in our film, and the first 25 get a character or street name or something named after them, and people have been loving that one, and so we've got some really fantastic perks on the low end and the higher end, and including there's a few chances to be in the film too.
Oh God, that would be awesome. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Keep me in the loop about that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really wanting to use horror fans as much as possible, like, and particularly Friday the 13th horror fans. Marcio Charlie, he's a mask artist. He does these amazing prosthetics and masks and that sort of thing. And he designed our mask, and he's a huge Friday fan. Mm-hmm. Haley Greenbauer, our leading lady, she's a huge Friday the 13th fan. Vincent DeSante and Andrew Leahy from Never Hike Alone, both of them are huge horror fans and Friday the 13th fans, obviously. And so we're definitely making some terrific headway on getting, these amazing people on board who, are big horror fans. I have two special effects artists, and both of them are huge horror fans. So I'm very much looking at getting the horror fans as involved as I possibly can get them involved. We're doing, so I've got them in acting, I've got them in the art, I've got them in the special effects, the mask. Mm-hmm. Haley, who's playing Kelsey, she's going to also have a mask because she's an actress in a film called Bloodlust, and in that film she wears a mask. Mm-hmm. So we have that going on, and then I'm also going to open it up so that musicians, they're going to be able to submit their music. Mm-hmm. And with that, we're hoping that we'll be able to choose a song to be played during this one particular scene in the film. And then we also want to put it out that get people to submit their artwork, their paintings and drawings, their horror artwork, paintings, drawings, photography, and that sort of thing. And we're going to pick somebody's art from the fan world to include on our film, in the film somewhere. It may be at the killer's house. I think that makes the most sense, is to have some really amazing, brutal, art there.
Mm-hmm. Spectacular. Well,
yeah. So we're trying very hard. We want the fans to be 100% involved as much as possible. So yeah.
Yeah, we're so lucky in this time because the horror filmmakers and actors are finally recognizing the horror fans, and including them in everything.
Right. Well, I think one thing that really helps is, without social media, you don't get to meet them really. I mean, yes, you may meet them at conventions, but then you don't continue that relationship, and that's some nice person you met at the convention. You can't really remember their name. Mm-hmm. And, I think I got their card somewhere, but I don't know where. But with social media, you can connect and keep in contact, and then you can shoot them over a note real quick. Hey, look, I'm looking for someone to do, help me with a poster design. And that's the other thing is, I've had, hardcore horror fans and Friday the 13th fans helping me with that sort of thing too. So, yeah, I'm wanting to use them as much as humanly possible.
Oh, awesome. Well, Deborah, you have yourself a great day, and I will continue sharing the
thank you.
the 13 Fanboy thing, and I hope you have happy holidays, and God bless you.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for taking time out to spend some time with me.
Always. We'll talk again.
All right, sounds terrific. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, there you have it. Deborah Voorhees. Ain't she a sweetheart? Thank you so much, Deborah. You are just magical, and you have done so much for the horror fans, and I am glad that I know you now, and I can see all this beautiful work that you're doing. If you like this video, everyone, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, add me as a friend on Facebook, join my Tommy Kovac comedian page on Facebook, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and all that fun stuff. Well, that's all the time we have this week on Splat from the Past. Until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying, there's no shame in living in the past, because the present sucks. Later, dudes.